No, get away. Let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh, animals.
All right, here we go. What is up, everyone? What's up, GR crew? Welcome to the after show. Thank you for your patience. The YouTube website, the YouTubes, was being less than stellar. It always wants to cooperate at the last possible moment, but we are now live for our after show with Gavin. So Kim has already pulled a bunch of questions aside from our main show. If you did not get your question in during that show, or you would like to ask Gavin any questions right now, jump into the live chat room. All you got to do is hover over this video, click the link. It'll take you to the YouTube page and live chatting right there. We'll pull any new additional questions, but otherwise, go for it, Kim.
A question from Ingen. Ingen says, Gavin described himself as a weekend warrior. Is he able to squeeze in any training during his busy work week, or are weekends epic enough? How does he prep for all this badassery?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I tell people the reason I kind of gravitate towards running is because I can do it by myself in the dark when it's raining. And that's typically when I do it. So I mean, backcountry skiing is like my favorite thing to do, but like it's easier to do when it's light. It's safer to do with a partner, and it's not as much fun in the rain, as an example. So, so anyway, so I love these other sports and climbing and all that stuff, but it's just right now, especially with like work as crazy as it is, like it's all about early mornings. And then evenings are all about family time. So having dinner with the fam. So it's a forcing function to do everything super early. So that's how I do it. It's just, early morning stuff. And I've never been a high mileage guy around running. And so and because it's been years and years and years that I've been doing this stuff. So I've gotten pretty complacent. Like I have no idea, like in terms of like I don't have a training plan. I just kind of go through these seasons where I'm like, oh, now I need to kind of ramp things back up. So what are kind of the milestones that I want to set out there? And so, anyway, it was a long answer, but generally, yeah, it's early morning stuff.
Got it.
And a lot of hot yoga. I do a lot of hot yoga.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think I'm like 400 plus classes now.
Damn.
Which mean, if you watch me, like you could not tell. You're like, oh, first day.
It's like, damn, you don't look like you do it. Yeah. Is it mostly for like flushing out lactic acid, like a movement based thing for you, sort of like freeing up the muscles?
Yeah, like just trying to, get kind of stretch out and I just feel just because it's so cleansing, and I sweat like crazy, like it's kind of embarrassing. But the other day, I was telling the yoga instructor, I'm like, yeah, I just sweat so much. And now, like when I start running, like I just start sweating so much immediately. Like I felt like I kind of messed my body up. But she's just like, think of it, it's just like a shower for your insides. I was like, that's kind of nice. So it kind of gets rid of the beer and, yeah. So yeah, I do really like that. It's both kind of a, it's three things. I mean, stretching out and then just the cleansing and then just like really trying to, especially with the hot piece, like you have to really like clear your mind to just focus being in the moment. Cause I want to quit every single time.
Right.
Cause it's just so hard or you make it as hard as you want to. So anyway, big fan of yoga.
Nice.
I'm on the yoga train.
Yeah, Kim's full on. You're like 100% right now. You're like 401 classes deep, I think. No, but
I just do it at home, but I started, like, I had a minor injury a couple months ago, and I was like, I need to do something. I want to do something to feel like I'm still doing something. Yeah. And I started doing yoga at home, and I'm at the point now, if I don't do it for a couple of days, I really miss it. So
yeah, you're doing like every day, some sort of.
Yeah, even if it's just like something yoga like session, short.
Yeah, I think because part of it is, not to go too deep on the rabbit hole, but you're doing stuff that you would never do in real life, like Superman pose, like you're on your stomach, like a lot of like lower back stuff. And I've just been, you just know like where you don't know the what's necessarily helping. But like I've just been fortunate, like knock on wood, that I haven't had back issues. Well, maybe it's because a lot of the stuff we do, there's a lot of back strengthening activity in yoga. Sure. So, I mean, I've had other running injuries, and that I've been actually dealing with this year. I've had this weird kind of IT bang, glute, calf, all kinds of stuff. But the other thing is, I should have mentioned in the other show, but this is for the special viewers here. But I really believe in PT, but don't wait until you're broken, just kind of preventative. So I've been averaging probably like once every 2 weeks, like going in with this PT and just working through little things. And I think that, I think a lot of times we think like it's binary, right? You're either broken or you're not. But at the end of the day, there's always something to work on. And so I think it's a good investment to have somebody else kind of work your things out.
Yeah. Essentially preventative medicine. It's like I totally
kind of like maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance.
Yeah. It's exactly it. Like an oil change on your car. It's not to solve a problem.
Do you need your oil changed?
I need my oil changed. Let's be honest. You need to get the things fixed. This is taking a whole different direction. Sorry.
Yeah. A question from Nathaniel in the chat room. They asked, Gavin, you served in Iraq and have discussed your experiences. How has your service impacted your running?
Well, as I mentioned before, I went to West Point. I was an infantry officer, went to Ranger School, which is basically like you walk around the woods with a heavy backpack at night. So it's kind of good training for ultra running. And I think that, and then, parachuted into Iraq at the beginning of the war, spent a couple of years there. And so I've had a lot of, intense experiences over time. And I think that, there's something, that I want to kind of, keep in touch with that, these like kind of, I don't know about like intense experiences, because I don't like actually when things get intense. I have friends that like, they talk about, like, it seems like every time they go in the mountains, like some guys, like there's crazy stuff and crazy weather and everything. I mean, I think we even talked like after the Infinity Loop when Ross and I did it, I'm like, what was like the most intense thing? I'm like, nothing. Like we just like had this, like everything went to plan. Like it was great. That's how I liked it. So I wouldn't say like I'm like thrill seeker, because people will say that, but I think I'm actually pretty risk averse, but I think it's more of like, can I put myself in these situations where I need to use, my training and preparedness to get through them? And I just want to stay in touch with that. I don't even know David Goggins at all, but he's a little extreme, but I still just love listening to. I mean, if you want like to freaking just listen to something that's to get you rocking and rolling in the morning and you're straight, I like listen to some Goggins, but I actually listened to his book as I was doing the Issy Alps, the 100-miler, which is good motivation. But he talks about like kind of keeping the fridge empty and like being kind of hungry and keeping the sword sharp and things like that. Just, I think that we, generally have very, we are fortunate to live in America where we don't have to worry about, where a lot of places in the world, things aren't guaranteed. Like, where's my next meal coming from? Will the light turn on? We live a very, comfortable life. And so I think that I just want to stay in touch with these, more kind of, I guess, maybe something more primal, by putting myself out in these situations. So I don't know. What was the question?
And I don't actually remember what the question was, but I'm sitting here like listening to the answer going, this applies to everything.
It was kind of about how your time serving, how it plays into your running now.
Yeah. But I also think just like putting myself, making sure that I can, handle myself in, various situations. Yeah.
I also just liked the idea. I think this is where my mind couldn't get off of, but I like putting Goggins on in the morning. And it just reminds like, man, he's his own rock band. Like, I love David Goggins. I think the things he says they're so finely tuned to like our sport and what we're doing and like getting us up off our asses and pushing ourselves and proving to ourselves what we can do. I just like the idea of putting on a Goggins album and like
first thing in the morning.
Yeah, first thing in the morning and just rocking out this Goggins.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, and again, not to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but, what I like about him is, I mean, he's obviously extreme, and it's like, don't ever take a rest day and all this other stuff. So I'm like not that at all. But what I do like is the fact it's like, don't make excuses, like, oh, what, I don't have the right shoes, or, oh, I don't have the right nutrition, or like, he's just like, just go good, just go, just do it. Like, stop making excuses. So that's what I think he's trying to push people to just like stop the excuse train. So yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah.
And he's a Navy guy, and now, I kind of like the Navy.
Now you're a fan of Navy guys, yeah. So I can keep going.
A question from A2B2 in the chat room. They asked, what is the number one safety item, excluding a cell phone, that you would recommend runners carry on the trail?
Well, I think some sort of insulation, right? Because if your cell phone isn't working, I mean, I don't carry an emergency beacon all the time, but it's like if I, like on a trail, and let's say I did twist my ankle and it was going to take me hours to get myself out, am I going to be warm enough? So I think that's like the key thing to think about. So I carry a puffy jacket most of the time. Well, I don't know. If I'm doing like a morning run around Cougar or something, I mean, I always have an extra layer. I mean, that's the number one thing. Like, always have an extra layer, and typically a space blanket if I'm, kind of work, yeah, it's just all of this kind of this sliding scale of like, what's the farthest away I'm going to be? How long would it take me to get back to a trailhead? But always have another layer. Because once you stop moving, I mean, for me, I get super cold when I stop moving. And so I used to carry this down jacket, which is this Montbell down jacket, which is super light. But then if it gets wet, then it loses its insulation capability. So now I carry the Patagonia Nano Puff, or the Micro Puff. So it kind of has the same insulation capabilities and packability of down, but it's synthetic so that it won't wet out like down. So yeah, I carried that, like that's what I wore on Stewart. That's what I took to Fat Dog this weekend. Didn't use it, but if I, needed to stay warm, then it was right in my pack.
Go ahead.
Question from Deb. Deb says, Gavin, other than races, do you do most of your exploring, backcountry, and training on your own? I would think it would be hard to find a training partner at your level.
Yeah, I have had some over time, and yeah, right now there's not a single person, and it's also, it's a lot of just like scheduling stuff, and I literally have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow.
Right.
Because my schedule is so crazy. And so that's the other thing about me, is that I'm always looking for, like, I'm opportunistic. Like, oh, it looks like this meeting's going to move out, so now I can actually do yoga. So now I keep the stuff in the car. And so I just try to be, prepared for, just if I can carve out an hour, I'll go do something. Right. And so yeah, a lot of stuff is solo. And honestly, it's also hard to find people who are both kind of the Venn diagram of kind of like endurance aficionados and have technical skills as well. And so Sarah and I, we have been part of the Mountaineers, which for those of you in the Pacific Northwest is a great organization to learn the fundamentals of how to be safe in the mountains and how to climb and ski and kayak and there's all kinds of different courses, but it's really focused on safety and doing it very incrementally and building kind of the muscle memory. Because for me, and I may have talked about this before, but it's one thing to like tie a knot in the daylight when you're fresh. It's another with your right hand, if you're right hand dominant. It's another thing if it's raining, you've been up for 2 days, and your right hand, a rock fell on it, and you need to do it with your left hand, right? So that's kind of the level of proficiency that you should seek to attain. And it kind of goes back to stuff we did in the Army. Like, we would do these live fire exercises where we'd like go attack a trench, and like with live ammo, live grenades, like full on. But we didn't just like say, hey guys, let's go, and yeah, here's all your live ammo, let's just go knock it out. No, it was like we would walk through it first in the daylight, and then we would do it with blank ammo, and then we would do it during the daylight with live fire, and then we do it at night and walk through, and then with blank ammo, and then with live ammo. So it's a progression, building that muscle memory. And so I'm really big into kind of, those incremental gains.
We have talked a lot about the mountaineers and taking classes, because I think this is something that is kind of the next step in, especially living here in the Northwest. And there's so much seasonal based adventure, whether it's skiing, backcountry skiing in the winter, or ice climbing and that sort of thing, or mountaineering in the summer, being able to summit some really cool peaks that you wouldn't normally as a trail runner because of ice travel or scrambling or climbing. And I know that they offer so many different classes in various disciplines. That's been on my list of like necessities. Now moving back to the Northwest and like just getting that experience level. And that's actually good to hear that they sort of level based classes, because I wouldn't know the first thing about Avi travel or any
that's what it's designed to do. Yeah, it's to take somebody who's never, like literally brand new to it. And we're trying to actually get better at having courses for people with some experience. So there's kind of an intense basic course. We're just in a week time frame, and especially for people that are coming in with a little bit of experience. So we're trying to meet people at all different levels.
Sure. Because
some people do come in, with a decent amount of experience, but just really trying to ground people in the fundamentals. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the mountaineers, and I think that it's been cool to watch it grow from when we joined, we had 10,000 members, and now we have 14,000 members. Wow. And so it's a great community. We have in 7 different branches. We have all these lodges. Just full transparency, I was the president of Mountaineers, so I was also a volunteer president. So I'm also a proponent of I just think that it's a great community. So yeah, it's a big commitment as well.
Sure.
But it's just like anything, like there's no shortcuts. Ed Viester's a famous climber, he wrote a book called No Shortcuts to the Top. And I really like that concept as well.
Well, I'll definitely have to touch base then, because it's something that I've talked a lot about with any of the skiing stuff, especially because I've got my kit and I've been wanting to do more skiing and stuff the last couple of years, and just getting off piste is my first sort of priority, but I don't want to do it without any, I need to do the Avi training. I need to go through those levels. And I know that the Mountaineers offer all sorts of, and even with summer travel and all that sort of stuff, they offer lots of classes. So I'll definitely reach out, because now I'm curious as to how I can, which classes to choose and which ones you'd recommend. I don't want to keep Gavin anymore. He's got some work that he has to do. I want to let him get back to that work, because I know he probably needs sleep too, let's be honest. Gavin, we cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for taking the time out tonight and joining us, man. We really, really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And Patreon crew, you know what to do. Go thank Gavin for joining us tonight. You can follow him at Gavin Woody. Gavin Woody, you can search on Facebook if you want to follow him there and stuff like that. But Instagram for sure. He's got great photographs and always up to something fun, either with the family or on his own out in the backcountry. So definitely check out Gavin. And if you have any questions about the local Mountaineers, I'm sure you can reach out to him too. Does the Mountaineers have a website? Is it mountaineers.org?
You got it.
Cool. You can find out more information about all that sort of Pacific Northwest based mountaineer classes and stuff like that at mountaineers.org. Thank you, Gavin. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you guys next week for more Ginger Runner Live. Get out there, train hard, race harder. And Gus is snoring his ass off right now. It is crazy. He is snoring the hardest. Cool. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, guys.